to President Trump, Jenna Ellis. Jenna, are you surprised, or how surprised, should I say, are you and President Trump with this latest move?
Well, this is just the next ridiculous self-own from Nancy Pelosi to say, the rhetoric over the last 2.5 months is President Trump is a threat to democracy, he's an existential threat, we need to remove him. And now suddenly, because she doesn't have control of the Senate, she's saying, oh, we can take our time. I mean, that's just the next line of hypocrisy, and it's showing that President Trump is completely right to call this an impeachment scam. This is just the Democrats trying to campaign for 2020 because they know they can't win at the ballot box, and they are fundamentally undermining the U.S. Constitution. And so I want to be very clear as well that this isn't just about how ridiculously partisan and terrible for precedent that the Democrats are, but they are actually fundamentally violating their oath of office by stepping outside of the margins by these two ridiculously unmerited.
So what do you say, what does President Trump say to those who may say, me thinketh thou protest too much? In fact, let me just read a small snippet from the Washington Post this morning. Even Trump knows he will be lumped in with the, quote, losers in the presidential history rankings such as Richard Nixon and Andrew Johnson. Impeachment will define his presidency, dwarfing any other foreign or domestic actions. I mean, when you read something like this, does this kind of stuff motivate or bother President Trump?
Not at all. And, I spoke with him this morning, and he's in really good spirits. And while the House was filing those two crazy articles of impeachment, the Senate was confirming over a dozen conservative justices. And so after all of the people who have Trump derangement syndrome are out of office over the next, 100 years and beyond of American history, President Trump is going to be remembered as the most conservative president of America who cared about the American people, who put conservative justices on the court, passed the USMCA, all of the things that he's done for the American people. That's what he'll be remembered
without
for.
Revealing too much of the president's legal maneuvers, possible options then, or is it just sort of a wait and see from President Trump and his attorneys with respect to this?
Yeah, well, I think that really depends on the Senate. And so right now, Leader McConnell has been very clear, that he's going to make sure that this process is fully constitutional. And the Constitution requires that the Senate actually is over the trial. And so Nancy Pelosi and all of her minions are totally done with this. And so now it's up to Leader McConnell. And so the White House is kind of waiting to see, what is our defense strategy going to be.
I want to bring in now, folks, a liberal radio host and attorney, Ethan Behrman. Ethan, Nancy Pelosi, we played a soundbite. She's saying she's not sure about the arena, but I think to Jenna's point, the arena is the Senate, right? Isn't that what it's always going to be? And so what would the holdup be? Because it feels like it could be a miscalculation for her and the Democrats.
Well, I think Speaker Pelosi is taking the right approach here, which is we know that the Senate is essentially a kangaroo court at this point based on Leader McConnell's statements on Fox News that he's going to take cues from the president. That's like putting a mob boss in charge of the prosecutor and the jury. So she wants to leverage whatever political muster she can bring up here to put pressure on Leader McConnell to actually run an actual trial and present witnesses and evidence.
Right. So a one-sided impeachment where you had Democrats defect from her, 0 Republicans vote for that. That's not a kangaroo situation. Isn't this supposed to go to the Senate from here? Isn't this kind of gamesmanship why this is sinking in public opinion polls?
Well, the public opinion polls are varied depending on which poll you look at on which day.
Overall, though, Ethan, let's be honest. Let's not talk about. Let's be honest. It's hurting you guys, particularly among independents.
Well, I think some people are, obviously tired of hearing about the impeachment. There's no question. That happened in 1998 as well, when the markets hit record highs on the day Bill Clinton was impeached as well. I mean, NASDAQ peaked on the day that Bill Clinton was impeached by the House. So, look, that's always the case that the public gets tired of this, and the people in the political circles enjoy debating these things. But really, you're right. Constitutionally, this is actually quite vague. So Jenna has a valid argument in defense of the president here, and the Democrats have a valid argument as well, because this is not a criminal trial. This is not a civil trial. This is a political trial that we've rarely done in U.S. history.
And Ethan, the only bipartisan support here was against the articles of impeachment, and that absolutely hurts the Democratic Party. But I also want to respond to your comment about Leader McConnell. So in any sort of a regular process in court, his comments were about the process, and the judge always, and anyone who's setting up the process always consults with counsel to make sure to see, okay, what are the witnesses? What are the rules of evidence that come in? How many days do we need for trial? That kind of process does not indicate anything about a kangaroo court. That is simply Leader McConnell doing his job.
Let me ask you, Ethan. I mean, you brought up Bill Clinton, and I think it's a great example of why Nancy Pelosi held back on this for a long time. Republicans paid a huge price for that impeachment of Bill Clinton. And again, it feels like if you're going to let this linger, I think the Democrats are going to pay an equally huge price again.
Yeah, I don't fully agree with you, partially because George Bush won in 2000 after the Bill Clinton impeachment, which was a Republican, so the Republicans didn't lose that badly. Furthermore, I would add into this case, President Trump, we've got 10, 11 months before actual election day, the House could come up with additional articles of impeachment between now and then. I'm not kidding. That's actually quite
believe
possible.
me, I've heard enough members of Democratic members saying that this won't stop no matter what. So, but again, you know, there's that effort, and then there's the political impetus for it. And I mean, the political outcome, I don't think it's helping him at all. I will say this, though. Congratulations, Ethan. I know you opened your new law firm. You're moving fast, my friend. Keep it going. And, of course, Jenna, we appreciate you anytime you come on the show.
Thanks so much.
Thank you both very much.
Thanks so much, Charles.